All right, everybody. I'm waiting for Crystal Martinez to come on. Got my viewers. Share video. There's Evan. All right, and we're waiting a few seconds. So I'm Bud Collier, and I'm from ImBullyFree. I'm the director of our program. And in the back, you'll see Crystal is on, and we're going to have Crystal Martinez on here in a second. Let's see if she can make adding you, Crystal. And whatever you did last time, Evan's watching. Let me get her on. Woohoo, get it, girl. Okay, it's trying to add you. Don't know what you did last time. Rocky Long. Woohoo, girl. Okay. There you are. Hi, can you hear me? Crystal. Crystal. Hello? We've got a delay. Can you hear me? Her face was up there for just a second. This is always the problem with Facebook. All right, what happened to Crystal? And Crystal again. It's adding her. Hey, Glenn Hubbard, one of my Colonel. Can you hear me? Yes.
Oh my God, this is the most stressful thing I've done all day.
I know it. It's terrible. So, Crystal Martinez, you can see on your page here on Facebook that I've got your IMDb page. What does that mean to the world when we go up and look for Crystal Martinez?
IMDb page is the Internet Movie Database, and
get closer to your phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's the Internet Movie Database, and it's basically like it's an online resume that lets everybody, the world, know what productions you worked on, film and TV, and what have you.
So you've been in movies, TV, commercials. You were on the Jim Adler show the other day.
Oh, yeah,
that commercial.
Yeah.
So, as we just talk, so how long have you been acting?
I've been acting professionally about 17 years.
17 years. So you started when you were 2.
Exactly.
You're 19 now. You're looking beautiful. And but what I've got up here real quick as I scroll through, let's go down in 2013. Anybody remember the show Revolution? Under the Dome. I remember those shows. And you were Nurse Adams.
Yes,
and
sir.
As we keep going up through the years, where's the movie one? American Crime, you're on that one. Machete Kills, right? So in that movie, who was the guy? He's real famous, but nobody knows his name.
Danny Trejo?
Yeah, Danny Trejo. Yeah, I mean, he's famous, but he's one of those actors that's in all the commercials. So did you have a major role in that movie?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I played Damian Bashir's wife. So I basically, in the middle of the movie, they bring me in and the daughter in, and the idea is that he watches them torture us.
Oh, okay.
But I can say that Robert Rodriguez ran the camera, so there's that. Yeah. No.
So do you like TV, big movies, or do you like theater?
Definitely anything on camera. Anything on camera. I mean, I like TV. I like episodic, but then I also like film because the entire story is told, and you don't really have to. There's not a lot up in the air as far as whether you're going to continue to work or not from season to season.
Yeah. So just like Evan has been on 2 seasons of Ozark,
right.
And will he be on the 3rd one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, without giving too much away, yes, sir. I believe he will be.
And you were on Under the Dome for how long?
I was on the first season. I think I did 5 episodes of that.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. And when you're acting,
You still there?
Yeah, I'm trying to set the phone down so I don't have to keep holding it. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. This is not a professional show by any means, but the ideal is get the point out to some of the kids. So when you're not acting, what do you do to support yourself?
Well, I'm an acting coach for the past going on 7 years. I've had an acting school called OGAC, Ongoing Acting Classes, with
Yes.
Crystal Martinez, and that basically came about from those TV shows that you just mentioned. A lot of those things were auditions that I booked straight off of tape, which at the time was still a little new, and so I get a lot of people asking me questions about what I was doing, and anyway, one thing led to another. I started classes, and thank God they picked up. And actually, just today I found out that 13 of my students who participated in an agent visit with PB last week are going to get interviews. So I'm
Oh,
super,
that's good.
yeah.
So how many interviews, when you get an interview, what does that mean to a young
Well,
man or young woman?
wow, wow. Well, I mean, most of the time it means that you're going to get offered a contract. So we have,
Oh, is that right? So when you get to the interview and the reading part, that's a good chance you're going to get
if they ask
picked up.
if they ask for you to come in and they say they want to speak to you, yes. I mean, it's not entirely impossible for people to
Yeah,
talk themselves out of an offer, you
right.
know. But if that happens, well, then you have no business with an agent anyway. You know what I mean? But this was the students in my class basically a couple of times a year I'll have an agent come in, and this time around it was PB, and what they do is they come for a visit, and the students in my class who are at a point where they are ready to audition professionally will come in for a performance, and they'll do a scene that we've worked on for a couple of weeks, sometimes a month, and they do it all for feedback. It's not an audition or an interview or anything like that. But the obvious benefits of it are that, if they see somebody that they like, then they'll ask for their contact information and bring them in for an interview to talk about representation, which is where that number that I just gave you came from. So out of 16 people, I think, that were unrepresented that participated last week, 13 of those are getting
Oh,
it.
that's pretty good.
That is absolutely unheard of. By far, I set a record. So I'm really, really super proud of right now.
So without talking payment, or just say, do you get more money if you speak in the part, or you're just a extra? Does that make sense?
Oh,
When do
absolutely.
you?
If you speaking lines, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's not to say that there aren't some jobs out there like commercial jobs or, things like that that are MOS where there's no dialogue that, people won't make millions of dollars. Commercials are kind of their own animal.
Yeah,
But as far as film and TV is concerned, you're going to do better if you have dialogue. But it's not unheard of for somebody to start off as an extra and then be bumped up to an actual role. So anything's
yeah.
possible.
I watch a lot of ER because we're old now. We binge, and we see these kids on ER. Remember ER, that show that was on for like 19 years?
Yes,
And
yes,
you'll see these guys in there for one little cameo as a kid, and then
right,
later on you see them growing up. It's pretty cool. So,
yeah.
I love what you're doing, and what I want to try to do is show some of your videos
Oh,
and
okay,
see
thank
if
you.
we can get those to work. And the first one, so there is, what's that number? 713-266-4488.
That's the phone number to my agent for that.
Okay.
What you're demo reels. So that's what gets sent out to casting directors, producers, people who are casting
Oh,
projects. They send that
yes.
reel out so that they can get an idea of what I can do and become familiar with my body of work. So that's
Yeah.
why
So
I
it's,
name it
so
there.
it's important to keep your IMDb page up to date.
Yes, but for the most part, yes, yes. I mean, it's important to check on it. But if you're working on decent sized productions, they're going to do that for you anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
but who keeps this page up for you? The
uh,
page we're looking at right now.
this is the
Yeah.
demo, so that gets updated every time that I have new footage that I want to include. But
Well, do you have to send that in, or do they request it, or?
my agent handles all of that. So
Okay, so it's an agent thing. Cool. So let's get this thing going so we can see you in action.
okay.
And the first one we're showing,
When you hear your father speak.
American Crime.
Yes.
Okay. So what was this series about, or your character?
That's a good question. American Crime was its own animal. That first season was similar to The Killing, which was I think told in 2 seasons. So
Yeah.
it was its own storyline about a boy that was falsely accused of murder. So basically, the father and the son that I'm speaking to there as a counselor
Yes.
are 2 of the main characters, and they're kind of a dysfunctional family. And so I'm trying to get the boy to open up to me, and the father's worried about what.
Okay. Cool. Let's see if I can get this to work.
Speak about how much he misses doing things with you. How does that make you feel?
Good.
Well, do you think you might be able to find some time to spend with him, just the 2 of you, maybe this weekend?
Sure.
Is there anything you want to say?
Jenny doesn't come because she hardly wants to be home anymore. Antonio. Ever since he got me arrested, things have been bad.
I did not get him arrested.
Let him speak,
We
please.
got kicked out of church. He doesn't help. He just yells at her.
Wait a minute.
Mr. Gutierrez, please.
Okay. Okay, we're back. Yay! Do you get embarrassed watching yourself act,
Sometimes.
or creepy, or whatever word I'm trying to say in the acting guild? You know, a lot of actors don't like to watch their whole movie through. I've heard that.
Yeah, sometimes I don't. I was the lot. Stop. My daughter's over here making faces at me.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll watch a million times over because I'm trying to figure out what I did wrong and what I need to improve and what have you. But
So have you ever had the perfect scene that you consider when you look back at it from all your movie and TV career? Where you go, you know, that was the Oscar moment.
not yet. Not
Yeah.
yet. Had some. I mean, I've definitely had some good ones. I liked the work I did in Revolution, but and I liked some of the work I did in a movie called Unlimited, and then I just did in the end of last year, I was the lead in a pilot out of Florida that they're shopping around, and there were some cool little scenes there, but nothing really
So
consider that yet.
tell me about the Florida casting you were in.
That so the executive producer on that I had worked with on a movie called Unlimited out of El Paso, and
Yes.
so I guess when he partnered with the writer of this show called The Neapolitan, my name got tossed into the mix, and so they contacted my agent, and I was lucky to not even have to audition for that one, and they just negotiated it, and so I was able to fly out to Florida for about 3 weeks to shoot the pilot, which was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience and a lot of fun.
So how long? How was it? A 2-hour or 1-hour pilot? Or do you remember? Have you seen the pilot yet?
Yeah, we went out for a premiere, but
Yes.
we're doing additional edits to it. So, you know, things like that go through 1.5 million edits. So what I saw at that time may not be what the final product is. But
Yes.
there was definitely a lot of very good material that was shot. So, you know.
Yeah, I've met a lot of young actors. You know, they're in the like my buddy Mark Adams was in Ozark as one of the FBI agents
Oh, cool.
on that series with Evan, right? So we went to college together. He's military guys, and they cut him out except for one part. If you didn't know Mark Adams, you wouldn't know him. You know, it was one of those quick shots through the
Yeah.
window. Oh, there's Mark. But all the scenes that he was in, they cut all of them. So
Yeah.
a lot of times, great scenes have been left on the cutting floor. You know, because you have no influence on that, do you? As the star actor or actress.
Oh, not really. No. I mean, no, not at this point. Not yet. maybe. I mean, at some point, eventually, yes, I hope to. But as of this point, no. It's essentially out of my hands.
Yeah. Oh, so as you become like Tom Cruise or somebody like that makes a movie almost every week. You have an influence of you edit. You're at the editing room sometime, possibly.
Yeah, once you become an executive producer, definitely. You know, you start.
Okay, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between an executive producer and a producer? Is there any big differences?
I think the executive producers generally work out of the network and they're more in control of the show as a whole. Producers typically come in and they also kind of work as writers, so they work episode by episode. So you might have producers on one episode, then you would on another on the same season of a show.
So as a director, like you said, you're a director and an actor when you're at your school, right? More or less. So how hard is it to be a director and an actor in an actual movie or a TV show? Like Jason Bateman.
I mean, I've never had the opportunity to do that. You know, doing it in class is one thing, and definitely I know that whenever, as I'm working with people in class, one of the most difficult things to do is to stop myself from getting in there and saying, okay, this is the way you need to do it. This is how it should be done. So, you know, I have to deal with that during class. I know it's got to be difficult if, you know, it's on an actual production, because at some point, be able to let go and let the actors kind of breathe life into the character, you know? So, you know, I haven't had the chance to do that yet, a production, but it's easy.
So you want to take another look at another video?
Sure.
This is called Under the Dome. That was in like 2013, 14. How long was Under the Dome on TV?
4 seasons. I was just in one season, the first season.
Yeah, but you were in a lot of the seasons, a lot of big talking parts. Cool.
I did 5 episodes.
So what was you were Nurse
Adams.
Yeah. So what was your character? And what was going on, the intent of this movie, Under the Dome?
It was a Stephen King. It was based off of a Stephen King novel and loosely based because they really deviated. But basically my character was the only, the top medical personnel that was stuck under this dome that magically kind of.
So you had no doctors.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you were it.
Yes.
So did you have any medical background or training before you did this?
None whatsoever.
So where did you learn all the lingo?
They wrote it in the dialogue.
So because you know I'm a hyperbaric medicine, got a background in medicine, you know, and I watch a lot of shows, I was a parachutist, and I go, they need to get a better director guy or one of those people that gives them the expertise. So let's watch this. You ready?
Second room.
Can you see it?
Yeah, right there. So it's a through and through then. There's no bullet to remove?
That's right. Sounds like she's taking in air through the wound, so we've got to relieve this pressure, or else it's going to crush her heart and lungs.
Please, somebody.
Hey, listen, I don't want to leave her, but I got to go take care of something, so could you?
You know you're going anywhere.
Thank you.
Tony, what happened to her? I think she got zapped by a generator. Did she lose consciousness? Like 20 minutes? All right, well, thanks for bringing her in. I'll take good care of her. Nurse Adams, do you know anyone else who's had seizures lately? Besides Joe and I? Not since your 10th grade dance, Angie. She was lucky to survive. There's no telling what kind of neurological damage she might have.
You think she'll come out of it?
I'm not a doctor, Junior.
Yeah, but you're kind of as close to a doctor as we've got.
And I have other patients to check on. We have 23 diabetics in Chester's Mill. Our insulin supply is gone. Yeah.
Pharmacy has to have some.
When Herman Coggins ransacked the place, he took all of the drugs, including the insulin.
I want you to do a blood count, an EEG, and if they're negative, get them MRIs.
We can do the blood and the EEG here, but the closest MRI is at the big hospital in Westlake, and that's 5 miles outside of the dome.
I don't suppose you have a neurologist?
We're fresh out of doctors. Look, one of them's on vacation in Vail. The other one drove his Porsche right into the dome. And Dr. Shumway's MIA. Linda's temp's 104 and Miss Moore's BP's falling. How much antibiotic do we have left? 1 dose. More people are coming in with fever and headache.
What are we dealing with here?
I don't know. It could be the flu. We need to get more cots up in the basement.
I'll get it.
I'm his wife, Sophie.
Okay, cool. All right, back to it. So that was Under the Dome. Did I lose you? Crystal, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm right here. Hang on a second.
Okay. Get back on camera.
Yeah, I'm right here. I just had to step away for a minute. Like how long
So that was Under the Dome. And was that one of your big breakouts? Or would you consider, a lot of episodes?
Yes. Yeah, it was 5 episodes, and it was a hit show. It was like the beginning of when they started kind of doing TV shows that were run in the summer, because typically the summer was a hiatus. So it was
Yes.
kind of the new shows that brought that around, and it was good. Yeah, it was definitely one of the bigger opportunities that I've had.
Cool. All right. So Revolution, I love that show too. That was on a few seasons. And what was that about? As I zoom in on Crystal.
I really couldn't tell you. I played the wife of this guy who was an ex-militant that had basically gone to live in this small town, and he had hidden his past from her. And the scene you're about to watch is where it kind of comes to a head, because Billy Burke and the girl, their characters show up there looking for him. So
There was a power surge. All the power went out. So I remember watching. Okay, you ready to go? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. You right?
These friends of yours?
I know you're in here.
Ouch.
Is anything the truth?
Yeah, important stuff. Sophie, I love you.
Don't say it.
Okay, cool. So see, Crystal, you should have said you loved him. You'd have stayed You should have ad-libbed. That was pretty cool. So as we go on, the big thing is you've been in a lot of stuff, and I love what you're doing with the kids. So when a young person or an old person walks in, first time into your studio, right? Can you tell if they have ability? Yeah. See, I was a golf coach for years, right? A golf pro. So I taught kids, and there's that percentage of kids that are naturals. They're like Michael Jordan. They walk on, they have all this talent, but then you see this kid that has no talent, but if they work hard, can they become an actor? Is that a weird question or too much information?
No, that's the one thing that I've learned over the past 6 or 7 years of teaching, that some people do walk in and from the first moment that they do their first scene, I know that there's something special about them.
Yes.
The flip side of that too is that I found some people will come in and they'll impress me with that first scene, but then as time goes by, maybe 2 or 3 scenes later, I realize maybe they don't have the same amount of range that So I've learned to not really come to any conclusions off of the first 1 to 2. And then also there have been some people who came in that were complete novices that that were just wanting to do it as a hobby, and before you know it, they decided that as time progressed, they decided that they wanted to make a career out of it, and they've gone on to be series regulars on TV shows, and a lot like Evan and several of my other students.
So was Evan a natural when he got there, or did he have to work really hard?
Evan was natural, definitely. Yeah.
But the first time I met Evan, we were at an anti-bully group, right, at a church, and T. Ron Hicks, and we did it. There wasn't like a lot of these anti-bully movements. Not a lot of people showed up, but we had some rappers there, and it turned out to be a great day. And so he got to be one of the speakers, and I watched him read from a paper, which was very good. But and now this has been since 2013. He doesn't need that guidelines or those crypt cards anymore. He is so dynamic, but you know how hard he works on his speeches, because I know you've worked with him for the buddy walk, right? And how much work does that young man put into his?
He definitely puts in a lot of work. I mean, it's, if he didn't have a passion for it, he would not be successful at all. So I think that's, that's 80% of it in there. And, well, no, let me rephrase that. 70% of it is the hard work, and then there's, the passion, and then the rest is the right place at the right time. And I really think that it was meant to be for him, and that's how things lined up. I mean, I know when he walked into my studio, after he did his scene and after I talked to him, I immediately knew that there was a place for him, and so we both decided that we were going to put in the hard work, and and we did that, and it paid off.
That is so cool. I'm looking at it, watching it, because I can go and on and talk. But yeah, as we work together in the community, right, with the kids, occasionally Evan will comment, said one of the little girls are getting bullied, things of this nature. But remember, when you start your career, you're putting out maybe a YouTube video for the world to tell you you're asking for feedback. That's kind of what happened to Evan. He got some ugly feedback from a relatively famous people out in LA, right? Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And were you a part of that when that happened?
I was not. I heard about it afterwards.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure the timing on that, but I was not a part of that. No.
Yeah, but he talked about it, right?
Yeah, when he brought it up to me, I mean, at that time, really, I just told him to, to ignore it and to move on and not let anything like that faze him.
Because you got over 6 billion people that potentially could see you, and not everybody's going to like you, right?
Yeah, I mean, but now, I mean, I've got a different kind of perspective on it at this point. Having just been through something kind of similar to it myself last week, where, I mean, if you're not strong-minded or strong-willed, or if you don't have a good support group, or if you don't, any number of things, it's not difficult for people to get to you. People can be really mean and really ugly, and and it's that harassment, where they, I had a situation with a woman just a week ago where, was taking selective screenshots of conversations she and I had and posting it on her page and calling me a B and a this and a that and talking about my school. And I mean, and she would not stop. And she, and then she blocked me. And so I tried to contact her so that we could, deal with the situation. And Evan happened to be here. And so, try to give her a call on his phone. And she was just going nuts on Facebook. And and eventually I ended up blocking all of it and just kind of walking away from what I understood.
Yeah, but so what was her intent? Was she mad at you, or did you know her?
I don't really know what her intent was towards me, other than she's shown this type of behavior for as many years as I've known her, where she had personal issues with her ex-husband. Almost every day it was a fight with somebody else. I never in a million years thought that I would be added to that list, but that just goes to show you that, I guess, if you see that people are mean and hateful on a regular basis online, specifically mean and hateful and saying, curse words and calling people this, and specific issues with details or whatever and twisting things around, and they just really thrive on that. And if you see that that's their personality year after year, that's probably not somebody that you want to befriend. But because of my business, people come into my classes, and I try to ignore as many things as I can, because I'm just a coach.
Yes.
I think that people oftentimes will befriend you with malicious intent, and then they'll, the go-to place nowadays is social media, unfortunately. And I mean, I know that if it's tough for us as adults, because it definitely bothered me. It definitely bothered me to have so
Well,
little control over what somebody was posting and saying. And all I wanted to do was kind of go on and post my side of it, but then I realized that would make me know better than her. So Evan and I decided to just walk away from it.
and
And
I think that was my advice too.
yeah,
How much power does usually somebody that's cyberbullying you has no power, and
oh,
how they get their power is the more you incite
right,
them, or the more you push back on them, the more they feel. And it was like
yeah,
Sherry White out of Arkansas that wrote an anti-bully book about some of her classmates, but not by name. And they started cyberbullying her. And I said, Sherry, it's two little girls in Arkansas in a holler, right? How much influence can they have on your life? Or but now if you start getting a major star cyberbullying, then that's going to go viral, right?
yeah. Well, and even too, I mean, she threatened Evan. Like we screenshotted this. She actually literally made a threat against Evan. Threat again. Like it was just, it was the most bizarre thing, and it escalated within a matter of hours. And I think that both Evan and I were as much at a loss as most other people who know me that witnessed it.
Yeah.
But what I guess my point is, I'm able to see past that,
I've
whereas
lost your
other
sound.
children can't. You know what I mean? So if there's not a support group or somebody out there that can tell children,
Crystal,
young
can
people
you
not
hear
to.
me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I've lost your sound. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hang on a minute. Yeah, I can hear you. You can't hear me?
Something happened. Are you on your speaker?
Yep, I didn't do anything differently.
I can't hear you now.
I didn't do anything.
What happened?
I don't know.
Well, darn it. Because I've got my volume turned up as loud as possible. I know you didn't hit anything.
No. Does that help at all?
You were perfect volume.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Does that help at all?
Do you have your speaker open? Turn it off and retry that then. The icon for the. Are we losing our viewer?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Not really good. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah, you sound like you're in a muffled really bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm right here. Can you
But
hear me?
let's try this. Log off and log back in to see if I can get you back in.
Okay.
I love Facebook. All right. Let's see. Add viewers. Okay, let me try it again. There's Crystal. Nope. Okay, let me try again. Maybe, okay, there's Crystal Martinez. All right, hit your icon, Crystal. That's Crystal Martinez. That went away. All right, so add yourself, Crystal, adding. Adding. Okay, we're trying to add. And whatever you got to do to get back on.
Yeah.
We actually did. Yeah, that was incredible for us. If people knew how long it took us to get this on. Can you hear me now?
I can.
I have no idea what happened to the sound.
I don't.
Can you still there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Okay.
Move up maybe just a little closer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So, I don't know. I can't remember what I was saying, but
You were talking about Evan and that lady that was going after Evan a little bit
yeah,
later
well,
on.
like I said, I mean, I don't understand the inner workings of like what makes people be the way that they are, but you know, when people create, you know, multiple profiles under different names and continue to kind of harass and go after and this and that and the other individuals, that's crazy, you know, and it's stressful and it's wrong. And so for young people who maybe don't have the coping skills to be able to know that they just turn around and walk away from that, because
Yes.
those kind of people, like you said, they're screaming for attention because they don't get any, and that's why, you know, they are the way they are and do what they do. As adults, we can, you know, we're better able to reason that, and as time goes by, you know that God fights all our battles for us, and too much energy is wasted on things that aren't worth it, you know. But I think when you guys told me about coming onto this thing, that was definitely something that Evan and I had talked about, because it didn't just happen to Evan, but it was just the fact that it, like, you know, that how quickly people do those things and how blatantly and erratically they do the things that they do, and they don't stop and they don't give up and they keep more and more, and you're just like, God, do you not have a life, you know?
Yeah,
But
exactly. And why would they pick you
exactly, and why
out of
not
all
just
the other millions of people in Houston?
yeah, exactly. And so when you do this to children, right? And it's
Yes.
so easy to go and make 25 fake accounts and hop on every one of those fake accounts and go and harass and attack. You know, children, that's what causes things to happen if they don't have someone to turn to and to get advice from. That's what causes a lot of those, you know, terrible things to happen that we hear about on the news.
Yeah.
And that's
Statistically, teen suicide is the third leading cause of death right now in
terrible.
the United States. Third
Yeah.
leading cause. I don't know what the other, but we have like 4,500 kids that commit suicide in that age range, and in it,
Yeah.
which is 4,500 or so. Uh, Evans, trying to but and between 18 to 30, it's another 4,000 or 5,000 because of some of the damage that's done. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So as we've, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Somehow when Evan calls, your voice goes away.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I
Can
mean,
you hear?
you want to start this again? When he
Yeah.
calls, okay, go ahead and get off again.
Okay.
And log back on, log back on. Crystal back on, okay. I'm adding you, Crystal. All right, you're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Somehow when an incoming call comes in, it affects the volume. That's
Okay.
what's doing it. Okay, so back to what we were discussing about cyberbullying, suicide. Uh, we call David's Law here in Texas.
Yeah.
And if you look across the country, not every state has a law that will protect kids. And it was Maureen Moloch. David was her son. and
Yeah.
she started an anti-cyberbullying law. And before 2017, basically, if we're 15 and 15, we really wasn't breaking any laws there was no cyberbullying laws for the kids. Now,
Right.
if you were 18 and cyberbullying the kid, that's against the law. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so as this got started, so we went to Austin, we went to the Senate and made a hearing to say this is what's happening. So what happened with David Moloch was he was 16 years old, getting cyberbullied from numerous people and getting all those you're ugly, you're an ape, blah blah, all those nasty things that's on Facebook and Twitter. So as it continued, Twitter would shut this kid's page down and he would start another one the next day. But he really wasn't breaking any laws because there was really no anti-harassment laws from Facebook. That makes sense. So,
Yeah.
so a little bit later on, this started in December, and Senator Mendez was there to bring that law in, to be proactive. And in January of that next year, he committed suicide, and the next year we got it approved. But I've seen the videos, and we go, Evan and I go to a lot of schools and talk to kids, talk about cyberbullying. But your kids have grown up with telephones, haven't they?
Yes. Yes, they have.
They iPads. So, and what's your biggest thing? Do you let them on Facebook?
No, my son's 19 now, so yeah, I think he
Yeah.
created Facebook at 19. My daughter doesn't have one. She's not allowed to have one, but definitely one of the big concerns for me was the possibility of cyberbullying and things of that nature. But then both of my kids being in school, that was something that we had already kind of addressed even before that,
Yes.
about not letting people push you around, about being careful with the things that you say, the things that you do, and how you treat other people, but not letting people, push you around and take advantage of you. And I think those things have helped them also to be able to protect themselves, online and on social media. But it goes without saying that even in spite of all of that, nothing beats having a, dialogue with your children, and sometimes they're going to want to speak, sometimes they're not, but it's really more about being available. And as parents, it's our job to see the signs, when something is happening, and no matter how fast-paced our lives can be. I mean, I'm a single mother, and I've raised my two children the majority of their lives by myself, and it hasn't always been easy, and definitely I've made mistakes, but never walking away, never, shutting down those lines of communication, at least for too long anyway, regardless of how much they might want to sometimes because they're teenagers, I think it's essential. And then the other thing too is that, kids learn by example. I mean, they've, as soon as social media got as popular as it did, people got psychotic and started acting foolishly the way that they do. Again, for adults, it's one thing because we can look at it and go, wow, that person really needs to get a life. For children, it's another because those kids internalize that and then they end up, hurting themselves or hurting other people. And that's terrible,
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
so,
there was it's called Jacob's Law, and it's out of California. So Ed Peisner, his kids walking out of like a Jack in the Box,
mm-hmm.
and a kid attacks him, hits him from the blind side, almost kills him, knocks him out, broke his jaw, all kinds, and he had a concussion. But see, before that, now the kid that hit him, that's assault and battery, right? Because they're above 14 or whatever that age is. But what Ed did was he made it illegal for somebody to videotape that. See, now if I pick up my camera and videotape a fight, that's different. But if I'm there from the start to see if I can get this heinous act on TV or YouTube, then and see how many likes we can get. Because you remember, the more ridiculous, the more heinous it, the more violent, the more likes you get. Because like I said, if we just go, hi, everybody, I'm Bud Collier from ImBullyFree, maybe 50 people might like that, if that, right, my friends? But that's not going to go viral. So
Right.
he changed that law. Now, if you're filming something and it looks like you started with the actor, the bad guy, the felon, then you also possibly get a felon,
Oh, wow.
because
Yeah.
phones are weapons. You know,
Yeah.
we need them. But do you ever leave your house without your phone now?
No.
Neither
No.
do I. That's just like with you with your car keys. You never leave your. And I remember in 1987, if this is going back before you were born, uh, how we were turning off computers. We got our first computers in the military, and you know how we would shut them off? We'd take the power cord and just push our foot on it because we didn't know how to shut computers off now. And now
Oh,
look
right.
at us.
Yeah.
But now look, we can we do all these apps and things like this,
Yeah.
and we're.
Yeah.
But remember, 10 years ago, you didn't even think about doing this picture on picture
No,
with the
never.
phone.
Not, not a million. Yeah.
Phone is a
It's
very powerful tool. So as you know, over the years, I've confided you with what should we do with I'm Bully Free. You know, you've done a lot of stuff with us, but with the kids and things of this nature, because when we have a bully incident, like Evan gets involved, and, he'll go out and talk to the kids and ask you, well, Crystal, what should we do with this? And so I have probably 100 friends that I trust because of, we talk all the time. We're always looking how to make things better in the schools. And see, what we're seeing in the schools this year with all the violence and shootings is they've pulled away from the niceness tour. They're adding structures to keep the shooters out. They're more worried about shooters than the climate of the school. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
So,
Right. Absolutely.
yeah, there's no, I haven't had a call this whole year about coming in and talk about bullying, because they're more worried about the extreme violence and bringing psychologists in to help the school. But
Yeah.
as we look across from the anti-bully world, see, we need to change that culture of it's not right to do that. And we're never going to rule out bullies. I don't think. They're always going to be bullies,
Yeah. Well,
unfortunately.
desperate people in the world. I mean, unfortunately, that's something that we do have to deal with. But I mean, I think, again, for people, for children, for those who can't protect themselves, who maybe who are not equipped to be able to find the proper way to deal with or the proper perspective, that's why your organization is so important. That's why Evan going out and speaking to people is so important. And, this you speaking to us as well is so important. And raising awareness and letting people, younger people know that there is somewhere that they can go. There are people they can go to, or organizations they can reach out to. There's somebody there that can help you. So
Right.
to that, I think it's very, all of this is extremely useful. In the other sense, for adults that do it to other adults, I think that, oftentimes people will show you who they are. You know what I mean? And so as parents, as teachers, as adult mentors like Evan and and other people that are in my classes and things, I think it's important for us to be able to have a dialogue about these things that happen, but also just use common sense in how we deal with the people who do the bullying, who do the
Well, here
harassment.
I got a question as you're talking. So, a lot of people, especially if they've been involved with a suicide, whether it's child or a grown up, do you think the dialogue about talking?
Can you hear me?
No, somebody just called. Uh, you want to start again?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Every time somebody calls me, it goes to silence.
Okay.
So
All right.
log off and start again.
Okay.
Okay, we're back.
Are you there?
You're when somebody calls me, you drop. So before we get cut off again, do you on your I know this is kind of catching you off site, but if do you think that parents should talk about suicide with their kids or
Yes.
not?
Yes, yes. I think, I mean, but, and everybody has a different approach to it, obviously. I mean, I know that for us, it was something that was related to religion. And so from a very early age, I mean, I tried to stay as engaged as I could with my son, and then that naturally happened with my daughter as well. But certainly suicide was a topic that, I mean, again, you have,
When did you start talking about suicide? What age? You remember?
might have been as soon as he started having going to school and having group activities where he would start dealing with other kids who maybe he didn't
Yeah.
get along with or didn't like him, and and I saw that it was having an emotional effect on him. At that point, I knew that it was time to start to um, get him to open up and speak to me, and know that that was not ever an option, because there was always something that can be done. Um,
Yeah.
so that's just never been an option for us in any way, shape, or form. But again, I mean, it comes from parents having dialogue with their children. I think.
Yeah. When Evan wants you to call him as soon as we're done.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
Something cheap. That lady might have been watching the video, whoever,
Yeah.
So whoever is it, whoever, I won't even say her name, but I see. Take the screenshots. I'm going to post everything unedited to clear my name, right? So I made this happen, Sarah. No, Evan, don't you worry about this. This is crap that happens, our whole organization has been bullied before. Evan and Adam Ferris were trying to protect me, and I just ignored the guy.
Yeah. I
But
mean, that's like I said. I think that's I don't know, bud. I'll people will never stop surprising me. So
and see how would this lady even uh, know my page? How does she even see that? So
that's a
she
good question.
must be following. Yeah, and I'm going to post everything. You didn't. So about up to Tony, and it's just you can go back and read. So here's some lady that got on our show. I don't even what. So
That's saying I wouldn't. Well, I mean, it's entirely up to you, but that's exactly what she wants, because Evan and I ignored her and walked away, and the fact that she found this and made a new fake profile, and now I don't know what's going on, but the fact that she's even on there right now is pretty spooky to me, because that was some,
well, I tell you, after we're done, go towards the end of the video and read those comments, and then if we want, we'll just take this down. I mean, it's just, yeah,
yeah, it's pitiful, but what can you do? I think it's a
right,
perfect
something,
example to everybody of exactly what it is that we're talking about.
yeah.
It's really bizarre for somebody to do something like this.
Well,
Um,
you didn't really say anything. You didn't say what happened. See, as we're sitting here talking, all you were talking about how it affected you, right?
yeah, yeah,
You didn't go into any detail.
yeah,
She claims Tony, whatever. I never, and I know the background. It's just incredible.
yeah.
Uh,
I'm not gonna. It doesn't matter, but it really doesn't matter to me. God bless her. At some point, you either run out of fake profile names or you just get tired of being weird. So,
yeah,
will come around eventually. But ImBullyFree.org is a fantastic organization. I've been working with you guys
yeah,
for a while. I've seen some of the fantastic stuff that Evan has done, and a lot of the different people that he's helped, and the different people that have gotten involved with you to help the organization. And I think that, I'm really I'm really happy and you know, privileged to be able to work with you guys. Definitely to be able to help Evan with his speeches and to help out during the different at the different events. And you know, and so thanks for inviting me on here again.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe this video will serve two purposes. One is the things that we talked about, and then another to show people exactly what, you know, it is that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
But
what better
see,
than this the nonsense that's happening right now?
you know, as I talk to grown-ups on site, we have our program is for kids. Whoever this lady that's posting on it says, I don't get involved with grown-ups. Yeah, that never goes anywhere good. So that makes
Yeah,
it never has a good outcome when two
yeah,
grown-ups are fighting and cyberbullying themselves. So that's what I remind everybody. I don't get involved because there's no
yeah.
good out with my kids. Yeah,
I'm trying to not be
and
involved myself. Anyway,
yeah.
uh,
So give Evan a call. He's very, very emotional because he
I,
protects me and you.
yeah, I
And
know. No, there's,
so
yeah, I'm gonna be fine. We're all gonna be fine. I don't think we really need to do anything. We don't need to do anything. I think that she's done enough. So, hopefully at some point she'll get tired and just go away. But thanks for having me. But I appreciate it so much.
delete them. Something about screenshots or whatever. I guess you can't
Yeah,
screenshot this.
oh,
All right.
that's,
Well,
yeah.
I had a great time.
All
It's
right.
about an hour up. Considering
All
all
right.
our delays, we actually know how to work Facebook Live better than anybody else.
Yeah, I know. Thanks to my
But
daughter.
I'm going to close out here. And so thank you. And if you need any help, it's called 713-478-3049. It's backwards, but we will help you, Evan and I. And if you want us to come to your school, and thank you for everything you're doing with the kids and empowering them. And give Evan a call because he's very, you know, we love that little guy too. Okay.
About it, Evan. We're gonna be just fine. I promise you. I love you,
Yes.
kiddo. Thanks for having me on.
Okay.
All right.
Be
All
good.
right.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
Miss Crystal. Thank you for everything. Cheers.
Bye. Thank you.